Hello everyone, today I'll be reviewing To Catch a Thief. So To Catch a Thief came out in 1955 and was directed by Alfred Hitchcock and stars Cary Grant and Grace Kelly. In this film we have Cary Grant, he plays John Robie, who is a retired burglar who is now living on the French Riviera in the south of France. However, what happens is that in this area that he's living, we have a string of burglaries where lots of expensive jewellery goes missing from lots of different people. So naturally, lots of people in the area start to think that John Robie is actually responsible for these burglaries. But in fact, John Robie actually isn't, and he's trying to clear his name and trying to convince everybody else that no, it wasn't him, and there is actually another cat burglar that is on the loose in this area. So he meets up with an insurance man, and the insurance man has a list of expensive items which are owned by people in the area. So him and John Robie try to keep an eye on everything that is going on. We also are introduced to Jessie, Royce, Landis' character, and also Grace Kelly's character in the film as well. And naturally, as you can probably expect, because it's Grace Kelly, Cary Grant instantly falls in love with her, and we get a bit of a romance story start to develop there as well. So as I said, this film is directed by Alfred Hitchcock, so you might be expecting this to be a really thrilling, exciting film with lots of tension, and in fact in some ways it is. However, I've seen quite a few Alfred Hitchcock films by now, and I have to say this film doesn't have quite the tension and the excitement that a lot of other Hitchcock films have. Nevertheless, it's still a very enjoyable film, and in terms of an Alfred Hitchcock film, it's actually very easy watching and fairly light-hearted in quite a few places. So Cary Grant, as usual, plays his sort of sophisticated, debonair character, similar to a character that he played in North by Northwest. He's a very likeable character, and we easily root for him in this film. We want to find out who the cat burglar is and what exactly is going to happen next throughout this film. Grace Kelly is absolutely stunning in this film. I've seen her in a few films, and I don't really think she's ever looked better than in this film. She wears some really nice dresses, and she always stands out when she's on screen. It's really hard not to pay attention to her when she's on screen alongside Cary Grant. This film is absolutely stunning to look at. It was filmed on location in the south of France, and as such we get some excellent shots of the scenery. We also get some shots from a helicopter as well, looking down at the south of France, and we really get some stunning shots of this location. It really is a beautiful film to look at. Unfortunately, some of the shots are slightly shaky as it is filmed from a helicopter, which is a little bit disappointing. But having said that, for the time, I do believe these type of shots were quite unusual, so you sort of have to forgive it for its time. I also have to say that unfortunately there is quite a lot of use of rear projection in this film, particularly in the scenes where the characters are driving a car. Just in general, sometimes they'll be sitting down somewhere on a hill and you can sort of just see the rear projection in the background, which I'm not really a big fan of, but I sort of forgive it for the time because they did this during lots of films at this time, and nevertheless the film still looks great. So in terms of the actual plot, I did find the plot interesting. I did want to know what happened next. I was invested in the characters in the film. As I said, the film takes a fairly light approach. There's not really many scenes in this film where there's lots of built up tension and it seems as though something is about to go wrong. It really is a case of us wanting to know who this cat burglar is and as we follow Cary Grant and Grace Kelly through this storyline, I'm wanting to find out what happens next. There aren't that many twists and turns in this film. It really is just a case of following the story and wanting to find out who the cat burglar is. And yeah, there'll be this build up towards the end of the film, and I think the film ends very well actually. It's quite a satisfying conclusion, and there is a bit of build up towards the end, which is very nice. So when I compare this to the other Alfred Hitchcock films, especially when I compare it to ones like Psycho and Vertigo, this isn't a particularly dark film. If I'm being completely honest, this is probably my least favourite Alfred Hitchcock film that I've seen. But having said that, Alfred Hitchcock has done lots of great films. Obviously Psycho, Vertigo, North by Northwest, Rear Window, The Birds. He has done so many great films that it becomes difficult to say that this is one of his best or not. It's still an excellent film and it's a very easy watching film, but it does lack that certain Alfred Hitchcock feel to it that a lot of his other films have, unfortunately. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I think this film is actually, in some ways, is a lot more accessible to a wider audience than other Alfred Hitchcock films are. It's a lot more family friendly, a lot more easier watching, and overall this is a very bright and colourful film. Obviously being filmed in Technicolor, as I said, it's a really nice film to look at, and it just makes a very enjoyable, light-hearted watch. Even though the plot does involve burglary and theft, really it doesn't deal in that too heavily, and it takes quite a light-hearted approach to it. One slight problem that I did have with the film, although it's only a minor thing, would be that one of the characters' lines in the film is dubbed, and it's actually really obvious because there's a scene when Cary Grant is talking to him, and the other guy, his lines, when he's speaking, the sound doesn't match with his lips at all, and it's really obvious, and I found that a bit distracting when I was trying to pay attention to what was going on. It was just really strange and a bit off-putting. I soon got used to it, but it was just a bit of a shame. I know in some of these older films they do that quite a lot. If you're not used to watching older films, you may find that distracting as well. So overall, I have to say, To Catch a Thief, it's an exciting film. Not quite as thrilling as a lot of other Alfred Hitchcock films, though Cary Grant and Grace Kelly, they no doubt have excellent chemistry on screen, and it is worth a watch if you like films in this era. And if you are a fan of Alfred Hitchcock and other Alfred Hitchcock films, you will no doubt enjoy this. Just don't expect this to be one of his best films. So overall, I'm going to give To Catch a Thief a rating of 8 out of 10. So there we go. So that is my review of To Catch a Thief. So what do you guys think? Have you seen To Catch a Thief? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Please let me know down in the comment section below. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.